All right, friends, here we are in the session 16 teacher's guide. Just a quick walk through these questions so you can know what I was thinking and lead your group well. First of all, we're going to summarize the text in our own words. Pretty basic text, but man, this truth is so foundational, so life-changing. Make sure that everybody's on the same page. Second of all, we're going to just dial into the main point of this text. What is our calling? And Peter makes that really clear in verse 9. For you are called to do this, to bless other people instead of paying them back for their misbehavior. We are to bless them, to show them mercy and kindness and grace and respect and honor, all for Jesus' sake. And we have this additional promise that we may obtain a blessing, that this is the way of Jesus, this is the blessed life. And please, teachers, would you stress that we don't live this way thinking that, well, okay, if I live this way, Jesus will give me what I really want, right? So I'm going to make myself a little uncomfortable and Jesus will pay me back. No, actually, what's going on here is Jesus has already given us a brand new life. He's promising to provide our needs and give us what we need and protect us. So we're on this incredible journey with Jesus. And as we walk this road with him, we feel his blessing in amazing ways, and we watch him work the impossible. And that is a great delight. Question 2, how do we gain this radical new mindset needed to bless difficult people? This is cueing off of verses 8, the mindset of unity, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. And what we want to really dial into here is looking at Jesus to help us gain this perspective, because this is not natural to us. We are so naturally self-defensive. When we get hit, we want to hit back, and that seems like the right thing to do. And so we have to look at Jesus and understand that the Father took care of him, the Father exalted him, and that we want to have that same mind. You can find help there, of course, Philippians 2, the very familiar text, or we could go back to Peter, the beginning part of chapter 2. You're going to have very similar language. So here I wrote you a paragraph that says, this passage puts its finger on a human tendency to seek revenge, to take injustice into our own hands. If we treat people the way they deserve to be treated, they will never see the grace of God, and also we rob God the chance to show what he is like to lost and hurting people. That's the rub. We like to take control because we don't want to be seen as weak. We want to be shown as strong or better than people. See, it's really about us, and that's why we respond so poorly. And yet Jesus is inviting us into a world where it's not about us at all, where people don't need to see us. They need to see Jesus, and they need to see him, that is Jesus, working through our lives through impossible ways. And so if you will submit your right to be right, or to get revenge, or to pay someone back, you provide the opportunity for God to show his power in protecting and providing for you, in blessing you, in building relationships that wouldn't be possible if you were filled with arrogance and selfishness and pride. I know that's sharp. I know how sharp that is, but it's so much more important that people see Jesus than we try to make life work. God promises he will make life work. And so I wrote this question: do you believe that if you follow Jesus on this path of blessing enemies, he can provide your needs and protect you? Simply stated, if you believe that, you'll be able to walk this road. If you don't think God is trustworthy to care for you, well, you honor and respect a difficult person, often a person very, very close to you, an employer or a spouse. If you don't believe he can do that, you won't be able to live in this way. If you do believe, then you'll be filled with faith and a confident expectation of waiting to see God work. It will develop patience and endurance. Sub-question here: are you willing to accept that part of Jesus' good plan for you involves suffering? I know that's one of those questions that is an easy one-word answer, but let it sink in. This is the heart section. We want people to feel it. We want them. And so go ahead and take questions about when, about how God is working through suffering and how God meets us in our suffering and what he might do and what options are open to a believer. This is not a hard concept to understand, and yet emotionally it's very difficult to accept. Question 4. We struggle because of injustice or the offenses of others when they loom larger in our eyes than the presence and the power of God. Right? Somebody hits us and that's all we see. And all we want to do is hit back. But when we know God is with us and this is God's moment for himself to shine, for someone to see the truth that they cannot see because they're so stuck on themselves. So what do we do to keep God's calling and promises in front of us? You see, if you remember that God has called you into this difficult situation so that you can help someone see him, it helps. It helps to realize this is not an accident. This is on purpose. You're hurting. That betrayal, those unkind words, they are part of God's plan to help someone see what he is like. And that involves you pouring out your heart to him, asking for help, and then showing the offender grace and kindness the way Jesus does to you. Once again, this is not a hard concept to explain. It's a difficult concept to accept. And so we want to talk about where someone might be asked to show this kind of grace, where that's going to be difficult, what we're going to see in the next week. And then we end with this. Why is the Spirit revealing these things to me today? And I ended on a positive note. Where have you seen relationships develop because you responded in a gracious way? Go ahead and take stories about where people have seen often really snarky or antagonistic or harsh people change because they were shown kindness. This is the way God has ordered the world. And when we use a soft answer, we often turn away wrath and we allow people to grow and change as they come in relationship to God. Hope you guys have a great discussion. I'll look forward to speaking with you next session.